Do you hate practicing your putting? Do you get bored easily but wish you had a more exciting way to do it so you could lower your scores on the golf course? Because let's all face it, the fastest way to lower our scores is probably to improve our putting for most of us. If that's you, then I've got something for you today. It is the Puttr, the world's first AI-powered putting tool, and I gotta say, it's awesome. I know I should be adding intrigue, I should be adding mystery, I should wait until the end of the video to get you to watch the whole thing before I tell you whether or not I like it. But honestly, I'm not gonna be able to hide my excitement for it because this is one of the coolest golf products I have reviewed in over a decade of reviewing products here at Breaking 80. So if you wanna find out what makes the Puttr so cool, if you wanna find out if it's worth spending 600 bucks on, it's a lot of money, and if it can actually help you improve your putting, today I'm gonna do the full review. I'm gonna talk about what I love about it, the things I don't love about it, and try and help you figure out if it's actually worth spending your hard-earned dollars on. So if that sounds good to you, keep watching. Today's video is gonna be fun. So first off, what is Puttr? They call it an AI-powered putting mat. And I don't personally necessarily understand where the AI comes in. In my mind, I look at it as a high-tech, gamified putting mat. It allows you to play games and practice and get feedback in ways that I've never been able to do. Because let's face it, we talk a lot about launch monitors, we talk a lot about simulators on this channel, and the worst part about simulators and simulator golf is the putting. And so this is a way that it's not necessarily a putting simulator, but it's a way you can actually practice putts in a fun, gamified way that puts real pressure on the putts you're making, just as it would in a match on the real course. And so for me, someone who hates practicing, that whole concept was pretty exciting. So let's talk about what it works and what this all actually means. So the Puttr is essentially a big metal box. Everything is self-contained in this box, and that makes it pretty nice because it is very portable and it's easy to set up and take down. So let's talk first impressions. I got my Puttr in the mail, and overall the packaging is very solid. Here's the thing about Puttr. It's one dude. He's doing all the marketing himself, he's doing all the product creation himself, he's doing all the coding himself, and you would think with just one guy behind it, it would feel not polished, or it would feel really low budget. But from the moment I got the Puttr, my initial reaction has been, this is awesome. I would expect there to be a giant team behind this, which means I can only imagine what's gonna happen as this thing grows. But the packaging was great. This thing's pretty heavy. I think it's around 35 pounds. The box looks good, the branding looks good. You open it up and you essentially have this big metal box. And what you're going to do is you're gonna open it up, you're gonna roll out the mat. In the back, you're gonna take out the ball return, which you set up magnetically very easily. And then you're going to plug it in the back, plug it into the wall, a light's going to turn on, and you're pretty much ready to putt. You download the Puttr app, you set up your account. You don't even have to go into your Bluetooth settings and find the Puttr. As long as your Bluetooth is turned on, it's going to automatically recognize your Puttr and you are good to go. From in the box to putting for your first time, you're ready to rock in under 5 minutes. And once you're set up, if it's in the box and you want to roll it out to play, the whole thing takes like 90 seconds. So it's pretty easy to set up and take down, which I've been very impressed by. Now, before we get into the tech stuff and all of the crazy features that it will allow you to do, let's talk about the mat itself. The mat itself is 11 feet long, so you can actually practice some pretty long putts. There are 27 different spots on the mat you can putt from, everywhere from 3 feet left, right, and center, all the way back to 11 feet. And so if you just want to use this as a regular putting mat and not turn any of the tech stuff on, you can do it. You can just hit it. There is a nice incline up to the hole, which any of the putting mat manufacturers are going to say it's supposed to simulate you hitting it 18 inches past the hole. To be honest, I don't necessarily love the uphill slope on those putting mats. I understand it is necessary for the ball return to work properly, but it still doesn't feel quite as natural as if you're putting to a hole on the ground level. And that's honestly one of my few critiques about the Puttr is it does have that incline. The mat itself, while still generally kind of a glorified carpet, is actually higher quality than I expected it to be. I recently did a review of the 6 different putting mats that I have personally tested, and while it's definitely not as realistic as a prime putt mat, it was probably the second best along with the Big Moss mats of all of the other mats that I tried. That is to say, it rolls true, it lays mostly flat. I will say the very end of it, even kind of like rolling it backwards or putting some books on it, the last like 2 inches, I've had a tough time getting to lay perfectly flat. But since I'm not putting from that very back 2 inches of the mat, it really hasn't been a big deal at all. More so than some of the mats, this one does seem to be a little bit of a magnet for dirt and debris. So if you're stepping on it, you can definitely see some footprints. So you're probably going to have a vacuum close by. It's probably a good idea to vacuum it every time you use it. But I will say in most cases, I've been able to just brush everything off, and that's worked totally fine. Okay, so cool. You've got 11-foot putting mat in a box that's got pretty good carpet-like roll. But what makes this thing so special? Why would you spend $600 on that? Well, if that's all it was, you wouldn't. That would not be worth it. What makes this thing so special is the software and what you can do with it. So for best results, what you're going to want to do is get an iPad and you're going to set it up right on top of the Puttr. Or if you have a TV that's close by that has AirPlay, you can enable that, and I found that to work really, really well. I would stream it from my iPad to my Apple TV and have found there's absolutely no lag. So if you're using this with a bunch of people and you're having a bunch of competitions, that can be a nice way that other people can follow along if they're not all standing around the map. So when you start going through the app, you're going to find well over a dozen different games, different modes, different ways you can play. So this could be something as simple as climbing the ladder. You start at 3 feet. If you make it, you go back to 4 feet. Make it, you go back to 5 feet, and on and on. You try and make it as far up and back as you can, and you get points for however many feet of putt you make. So you get 3 points if you make a 3-footer, you get 4 points if you make a 4-footer, and on it goes. So a pretty cool way to gamify and practice. But once you hit your first putt, you start to see part of the magic. There are cameras that are built into the Puttr, and it's going to show you your exact ball path on the screen for every single putt you make. So if you lip it out and it goes around the hole and comes back, you're going to see the ball lip around and come back. If you drill it right down the center, you're going to see it drill right down the center. With many of the modes and games, you have the option for added commentary, which is basically a way to cheer for you,
nice putt,
or shame you,
what?
Depending on how good or bad of a putt you made, and it just adds one extra element of fun to using this device. Honestly, it would take me a whole video just to go through all of the different modes and different games you can use, but let's cover a few more of my favorites. One being horse. Just like in basketball, you pick one of those 27 spots. If you make it, the other person has to prove it, or they get a letter. Another game I love is match play. It's just like a match play round on the course. You got 9 holes, you make the putt, your buddy doesn't, you go 1 up, and so on. There's a game of cricket, just like you would play in darts. There's even beer pong, where each cup is assigned a different putt based on how difficult it would be to make. You can even add rules like balls back, where if you and your partner both make your shots, you get the balls back and you get to go again. Like, just seeing all of these modes makes putting fun. It makes me want to have my friends over for beers and putting games, and no product has made me want to do that before. There's even a mode called Reducer, where based on how well you're doing, the hole continues to get smaller and smaller. That is part of what makes this technology so cool. Even though the physical hole is the same size, it knows the exact angle that your ball is entering the hole. So if it starts with 180 degrees, then it'll move down to 90 degrees. Then it'll move down to 45 and then 30. So you have to drain your putt pure in order to get the points for it. And when you start seeing some of the potential that this has from a technology standpoint, you start to realize just how cool Puttr is and how cool it can be as they continue adding features in the future. Another feature I love is called the Lab. This is where you hit 7 putts and you're going to get points based on your speed and based on your accuracy. So you are trying to get it dead center of the hole at absolutely perfect speed. And so what it will do is it will give you a score based on how perfect you can get that putt. If you're 5 degrees off to the left, you're going to lose points. If you're 5% over the ideal speed, you're going to lose some points. And so this is a training mode that can help you hit dead straight putts at the right speed and the right tempo. So not only is it fun in games, but there's all these modes that can actually help you improve your putting as well. And did I mention the quests? Are you into video games? There's a single player mode where you will literally go through a video game and it'll walk you through a series of drills, a series of games, and you're gonna get stars, 1, 2, or 3, based on how well you do in that particular quest. And then if you pass the level, then you move on to the next level. It's literally like a single player video game, but for putting. So to see all of these different ways that Puttr is trying to engage you to find the thing that you like that's gonna make you wanna practice, that's gonna make you wanna putt, I think is really cool. If you just wanna grind on 4-foot putts and see how many you can make in a row, there's a mode for that. 23, that was my record, by the way, so try and beat that. And while I haven't had a chance to test this yet, if you have a friend that's got a Puttr, you can play them online, live, in real time. So if you wanna play horse with your friend that lives halfway across the world, you can do that. Obviously, I like this product, but in all of my excitement for this product, I did leave out one pretty big detail that you're not gonna love, and that is the subscription. As with so many golf tech products these days, Puttr does have a subscription, so on top of the $599 price point, if you want access to the lab and all of the AI coaching aspects, if you want access to the live leaderboards, and to be able to play games against your friends that also have Puttr units, you're gonna have to join the Puttr Club, which is $20 a month or $200 a year. And I'm not gonna lie, that's a lot of money. If you are someone that plays a lot online and you get a lot of value out of that AI coaching, then it's certainly going to be worth it for you. But if this is something you're getting just to kind of use casually, use here and there, you're not necessarily planning to use all of the online stuff, then you're probably not necessarily going to want to pay for the subscription, which is a little bit of a bummer. So for me, it just would have been nice to see some of those features included or see that subscription come in at a little bit of a lower price point. But with all that being said, I get it. It's a small company. This is how most of these golf tech companies are actually making their money. They're not necessarily making a ton of money off the product themselves. The way they're able to continue investing in the business and supporting it is through the subscription. So while I don't like it as a consumer, I do understand it from a business standpoint. So take all that for what it's worth, but it's definitely a little bit of a downside to picking up one of the Puttr units. Okay, so what are my final thoughts on this? Let's first touch on some of the downsides, some of the negatives. It's expensive. $600 is a lot of money. But my experience with this is you look at that and you're like, $600, that feels like a lot of money. Once you've actually used it, it's like, oh, $600 feels cheap for what this is. I'm honestly just very impressed that they were able to build that much tech into this and sell it at that price point. The incline. I don't necessarily love it. It doesn't feel quite as natural as if you were putting on a flat putting surface, but I get it, and it does make the ball return work. Along with that, if you were putting on the right-hand side of the putting mat, especially on one of the shorter putts next to the putting return, it can feel a little unnatural where you're trying to like hit your putt into the putting return a little bit. It's not a big deal, but it's something that I've noticed where on kind of like 3 to 6 foot putts on the right-hand side, those sometimes feel a little bit weird to me. And as to be expected, the putting mat, while still very high quality and provides a great experience, it's not like the absolute most realistic putting mat you will ever use. Also, as far as the software goes, while it's super easy to use and super easy to get around, it's not necessarily the most polished piece of software. It definitely all works. I really haven't encountered many bugs at all, which kind of surprised me, but it doesn't necessarily feel like it's a huge, big budget golf app. And I can only imagine that the user interface is going to continue to improve as the company grows. But even as it sits right now, it's perfectly functional. It's easy to get around. It works. So I have very few complaints aside from the fact it doesn't necessarily feel like the most well-designed, most polished, most high-end app. So for me, when I look at all of those are minor critiques for something that is actually making me want to go practice. It's making me want to use it. I've been getting it out on a daily basis and actually practicing my putts. I can't remember the last time I tried to make 23 4-foot putts in a row. But by the time I was done, I was like, oh, I actually feel like I've got some confidence. I actually feel like I made some progress in my game by doing this. And then to have something that can function like the social nature of a simulator. Most of us don't have enough room to build a giant golf simulator in our house, but you can set this up pretty much anywhere and get that same camaraderie, get that same feeling, get that same pressure, that same competitive nature going with all of your friends while not taking up a whole lot of space. So the bottom line is, I think this product is fantastic and it's only going to get better from here. It's hard to believe it's only been out for a year, and it's even harder to believe it's just one guy behind this thing because it feels much more professional and much more polished than that. So that's what I got for you. This is either gonna be right for you and you're gonna watch this video and be like, yeah, I need one of these, or you're gonna be like, that's stupid, that's too high tech, I don't want anything to do with that. And that's fine. Not every product is for everybody, but I will say this gets my highest recommendation of all the products that I've used just because it's so unique, it's so fun, it can actually help your game, and it comes in at a price point that I think is very reasonable for what you get. So with that, my name's Sean Ogle. I'm the founder of this thing here at Breaking 80. If you have any questions on this product, drop a comment below. I will do my very best to answer all of them. And if you got some value out of this video, maybe thumbs up, subscribe, notification button, do all the things, and I'll see you on the next video. Have a great day. Peace.